So in Nibley's article, he believes that the economy and the economic institutions in our world today um, are very different from what the Lord wants us to have. Furthermore, the institutions that we've set up today through our economic beliefs have allowed people to take advantage of one another and have left groups of people disadvantaged while others are more advantaged and taking advantage of the disadvantaged people. He uses the idea of lunch to illustrate this point. What lunch is the necessities that we all need, such as shelter, clothing, food, that type of stuff. So Nibley starts off his paper with the fact that the idea of the survival of the fittest was brought about through the theory of evolution that for some reason has been forced upon us in our society. We're constantly bombarded with this idea. So he says that the idea that the world was not given to us by a higher power, but rather created by like a series of coincidences that led species to outlive one another for survival has translated into our world today. Within our economies nowadays, the weak are left behind while the powerful and rich people prosper. So survival of the fittest within our economy. So Nibley brings this idea into the gospel realm when he says that the Lord, He supplies us with what we need. He gives us our free lunch. Satan, on the other hand, entices us to get more than just our free lunch. He even tells us that we need to work for our lunch, and furthermore, we need to get as much as we can out of that lunch by working as hard as we can. He talks about the idea of different instances when the Lord has given us free lunch, quite literally in the story of the manna coming down from heaven. Nibley illustrates that although we receive this free lunch from Heavenly Father, He wanted us to only take what we needed. So the people were not allowed to store it up greedily and take everything that they could when the Lord gave them something. Furthermore, he talks about how we should be grateful for the gifts that we are given and not try to squeeze every last bit out of them. Satan, on the other hand, entices us to get as much as we can out of everything we're given, just to squeeze it dry. He also twists the doctrine that we must be diligent and work into he twists the doctrine of us working into us having to work for our lunch. And then he also twists the doctrine of the idler, the people who are greedy and kind of ride on the coattails of others. He twists that nowadays into us thinking that the idler are the poor people who ride on the coattails of the rich people by getting money from them, by getting their lunch from them. So this is one of the arguments that people against maybe the ideas of us just getting what we need use. So the idea that the poor are taking from the rich, Nibley says, is actually quite false. It is in fact the rich people who are taking from the poor. He says that this is because the rich people are giving the idea that lunch is not free. You can't get what you need for free. You need to work for us. So he's making the workers focus on the fact that they need lunch. That is the only thing they need. And those in power require the workers to work day and night for the things that, the necessities in life that are usually provided for them by Heavenly Father. But now those in power are those that are manipulating these necessities into a tool for them to have power over the workers. And we see this illustrated in the story of the children working in the mines in Scotland. Um, they're required to work for their necessities just because the powerful people have put this idea that they need to work as much as they can for these necessities. So all of this relates to what we have been reading about, because we've seen throughout history and throughout our readings that through the Industrial Revolution, people began viewing work and began viewing each other differently. They started creating organizations in which they could, control the new ways of production, and they also started creating new ideologies about how to control the production and how to control the workers. So these tie together in that Nibley's pointing out some of the bad things about our society today and our industrial society today. And we've been reading about the effects of industrial society. We've been reading about the good things about organizing society in certain ways through industrialization, but we also see how it is at a great cost to the people because they are seen as simply workers or pieces of machines that are to work efficiently. So Nibley's paper is just more evidence that maybe in fact the economic institutions we have today aren't a good thing, that they're too much of a cost to the people in society nowadays, because people are now being forced into thinking that they really need more than what they actually need, and people are being taken advantage of because of this greed.